In today's chill, beginner-level art tutorial, we are going to scribble our way to a lovely autumn bouquet. Hey friends, what's up? Welcome back. My name is Shayda Campbell, and around here we get creative together. I love getting me some new art supplies, and there's nothing better than just like roaming around an art store. And I get stuff sent to me from companies, but I love to go to an art store and just look around and think about what I can make with all the goodies that I see. So recently, I've treated myself to some Faber-Castell pencil crayons, colored pencils. And I like to share with you when I'm a little bit uncomfortable and a little unsure with a medium. Yes, I can say I'm good at this and here's how to do it, but I think it's also valuable to say I'm not so good with colored pencils, but let's try something. So we're gonna do this fun, very loose scribble floral bouquet, and it's all autumn. It's a beautiful autumn color palette. But before we get started, I have some exciting news to share. On October 1st, I am launching an illustration e-course. I've had so many requests for this type of learning content, and I can't wait for you to get your hands on it. I've been working on it for months and months, and it's really coming together, but it's not quite done. Chris and I are busy putting the finishing touches on this enormous body of work that's all about drawing flowers. Now, you can shop this course right now before it is launched on October 1st. There is an early bird pre-sale price going on for the next 2 weeks. We decided to do this early. Why not sell it now? It's the lowest price it'll ever be. So head over to shaydacampbell.com and click e-courses to check it out, and check out the course bundles, because that early bird price is also bundled in with some of my watercolor courses. If you've been thinking about purchasing, now's the time. Okay, let's get started. I'm always trying new things behind the scenes, and lately I've been working with colored pencils. Also been doing a lot of acrylics. I just love trying new things. And so today I have a really fun kind of scribble floral bouquet. If you like to make a bit of a mess, get a little crazy while also making something pretty, this is the one for you. So let's jump right in. First of all, I have a gorgeous reference photo. Pinterest and Instagram are great reference image resources, and this beautiful bouquet spoke to me for its autumn color palette and the wild look. And so what I want to do is work in my scrap paper here. All supplies are linked in the description, and there's also a supply section at the end of this video. So working on scrap paper with a pencil, I'm going to sketch the bouquet, but I don't need to get it exact. Like, it's just my inspiration. I'm not going for total realism. I don't care if it's the exact same shape or even the same colors. Photo is there to assist me, to inspire, not to cause me grief, not to stress me out. I don't need things to be exact. Now, as I sketch, I'm creating a guide as I go. So I'll place a circle or an oval to mark the general shape and size of each flower. So that's for that large orange sort of daisy-looking flower in the center. I'm going to put a whole bunch of scribbly marks to represent all the stems and leaves that are sort of rising up through the center of that bouquet. And yeah, I'm just getting really, really messy with it. Look at each flower and think, how can I break that down into its simplest form? Maybe it's just a circle. Maybe it's just a ruffly circle or a starburst scribble. We're getting very, very loose. This is one of those pieces of art that you can make even if you are someone who says, ooh, I can't draw. You know what? If you can't draw, I bet you're going to do even better at this than me, because I'm always fussing over details. And this is one of those wonderful pieces of art that doesn't need detail. It needs movement. It needs big, messy scribbles. It needs like an attack. So that's what we're going to do today. So continue marking everything out here, everything that you want to include. For the Queen Anne's lace, I'm kind of doing these little pebble-looking marks. I've put some leaves in here. And even though this looks like a bit of a mess, I'm quite happy with it. So let's grab a Fineliner and go over our initial sketch. It is the first weekend of the month, and that means there's a new bonus tutorial over on Patreon. This month, we're painting watercolor trees, and it's a wonderful lesson. If you want to get access to all the bonus content, there's new stuff every week. It's only $2 a month or $22 for the year, and it's a great way to prioritize your creative me time. Working with a Fineliner, we're going to start refining our sketch, and we're going to start to think about how we will illustrate and scribble in some of these flowers when we begin working with the colored pencils. Which flowers are you really simplifying? Which ones are going to be big scribbly messes? Which ones might have a little more detail? That kind of thing. So just go over it with pen. And then when you've done that, if it still looks like a bit of a giant scribbly mess, like mine, take a brush pen or a marker and just mark out where all the green is going to be. The leaves, the scribbly branches through the center. That kind of gives you a better idea of what it will look like eventually, and then we're ready to trace it. And tracing it is allowing you to keep what you like and change what you don't. So if you're like, ooh, that one flower should be more to the left, or it should be a bit bigger, now is the time to make those little changes while you trace. But tracing is also how we are going to transfer the sketch onto our good copy paper. Now, I'm working in a beautiful scrapbook from Muji. If you ever get to a Muji, they have a great stationery section with wonderful journals and planners and pens. We took Sully to the X in Toronto, which is like a big fair that we have here in Ontario. And so when we were in Toronto, I got to Muji and got myself this scrapbook. And like any good art junkie, I need to use my new supplies. And I've also recently purchased these pencil crayons. I'm not going to stop calling them pencil crayons. That's just how we say it in Canada. And so these are all my new favorite supplies. And you know how it feels to have new stuff. You're like, I gotta use it. I gotta think of a way to use all these new goodies. So that's what I'm working with. Craft paper notebook and Prismacolor pencil crayons. Supplies are linked in the description. But this is one of those projects that would look so beautiful done in gouache or watercolor, brush pen, or even just ink, a nice black or blue like scribble bouquet. And as I begin to draw the Queen Anne's lace, you can see how I'm really just scribbling. I'm making these scribble clusters in white, and I'm having fun with it. I'm letting the flower kind of dictate how I move the pencil crayon, and I'm just getting quite free. The tracing paper, I placed graphite transfer paper under my trace, went over it, and you can see it transferred my sketch really beautifully, almost creating a coloring page for me that I just get to color in and have fun with. I didn't want to transfer too much because I want to get quite free. So that's why I didn't transfer any of like the scribbly twigs and leaves in the middle. I want that to all be very loose and done with abandon. So that's why I haven't transferred anything there. I'm starting the coloring process now by filling in a lot of the flowers, and I'll do all the greenery later. And as I color these flowers, I'm just thinking about the shape of the flower and how I can represent it in scribbles. So first I did the Queen Anne's lace in my little pebbly scribble clusters. For those orange ones that are sort of daisy-like, I just did this starburst of lines, very scribbly, and I'm allowing the shape of the flower to dictate the kind of motion and movement of these lines. I think I already said that. So have fun with it and don't worry about perfection. I think the looser you can be, the more you can let go and call on that inner child to kind of make a bit of a mess, the more successful this project will be. Now that I've scribbled in many of these flowers, and I've got this beautiful autumn color palette going on here with lots of reds and peaches and pinks, I'm going to begin coloring in some of the flower centers. So I used a dark brown for those poppies. And then as I started coloring in these peachy ones, I thought, why not switch to a dark purple or blue? You can always switch out your color. As long as the value is the same, it's going to look great. So if you want to do blue leaves instead of green, go for it. Have fun, try new things. I love the way the dark purple looks with the peaches and yellows. It just adds a vibrance. The brown is nice too, but I don't want to use brown for all of the flower centers. And then I'm going to reach for some of my greens here. So I'm going with quite a dark, cool green to begin. For the Queen Anne's lace, I'm placing a lot of small lines in between my pebbly clusters, making it look like they're all joined by lots of little stems and branches. And then I'm going to reach for a slightly lighter green, close to the same color, and I am going to start having fun with this middle section here, just putting a whole bunch of scribbly bits to represent those stems and leaves. Now, as you scribble and make a mess and get a little crazy, remember, making something pretty has nothing to do with how good you are at drawing. Your technical ability has nothing to do with making something meaningful, making something that is cool, that will make people go, ooh, wow, that's so interesting. That's so beautiful. So scribble with abandon and have fun and forget about the fact that you don't know how to draw or that you tell yourself you don't know how to draw. Okay, this is coming together. It is looking so pretty. I'm going to reach for sort of light brown and color in this pot that the flowers are sitting in. There's a little bit of a highlight here right in the center. So I'm shading accordingly, just leaving it a little lighter there. Now, if you are working monochromatic, so you're just doing this in black or blue, if I was doing that, I think I might leave the pot unshaded, so just do the outline of it, maybe do a pattern like some lines. I think that's what I would do. Just a thought to keep things from looking too heavy. Since I know a lot of you won't do this in colored pencil, maybe you're working watercolor or brush pen, this would be a really pretty one to do a monochromatic piece. Anywho, getting a little off track, I am just doing a little bit of shading, really. I put a bit of brown and gray onto some of these white flowers, just adding some detail, some lines, some shading, really just scribbling, keeping in mind that it should be scribbles. And then I also want to put a little shadow here. So I've got a dark gray, although consider using purple or blue for the shadow. It does not have to be gray or black. So we'll just put a bit of a shadow to the left, maybe add a little bit of gray on the flower pot. And then speaking of shading, I'm coming in with a dark blue and just doing a few like messy scribbles within the shadow, within that center part where there's lots of twigs and whatnot. I'm putting a few stragglers kind of going out from the bouquet to add to the movement and whimsy of the overall floral area. What am I saying? And then continuing the shading. Try this. Try using a bit of blue when shading on the orange flowers. Using the color's complementary color to shade, so for red, using a little bit of green to do your shading, it just gives a wonderful shadow that's a little more interesting than basic gray. To finish, maybe one or two more little twigs. And I think we are done here, friends. Let's sign this crazy scribble bouquet. And that's that. I can't wait to hear what you think of this. It's something different. I know how much it means to you to see watercolor and pen illustration on this channel because that's mainly what I do. But I also want to say thank you for letting me try new things and experiment because that is really at the core of who I am as an artist. So thank you for watching. Please hit that subscribe button before you go. And for anyone who's interested, here is our supply rundown. I did my preliminary sketch in this Strathmore colored pencil notebook. I do a lot of work in here, not just for colored pencil. Most of my ink drawings are in these notebooks. I've got a Fineliner, the mulatto black liners, my mechanical pencil, and then I have my brand new scrapbook from Muji. I'll try to link this online. I'm not sure if I'll find it, but any craft paper notebook or colored cardstock would be wonderful for this project. Equally white paper would be nice as well. And then I have my new pencil crayons from Faber-Castell. This is the Polychrome series, and I will link those in the video description. I'll also link tracing paper and graphite transfer paper. Thanks again for watching. Hit that subscribe button before you go.